As promised, I'm giving the new playground mode that is coming in the 1.3 Make It and Break It update that we'll be releasing later today for Grounded a chance. And what I've done in this, I have created my own little custom game mode here in the new grass box map that was added for this game mode in particular. You can also do the playground mode in the main backyard map, but they've added this one as well, so I wanted to give this one a shot. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to share with you the main goal of this game mode, tell you the rules as well as the objectives that'll help you complete it, and basically share with you the challenges that I had in making this game mode so that if you decide to try it out, you'll kind of get an understanding of what to expect as you're going through it. So the main goal is going to be to reach the top right corner of the map here. There is a tower in the top right corner of the map. If you get to the top of that tower, you win the game mode. Ideally, you will do so without dying and in 7 days or less. If you don't do those, it's not making and breaking it. No pun intended there. But that's the main goal, is to just get to the top of the tower. Ideally, you'll do it in 7 days or less without dying. I believe there's enough food to last longer than that, but that's kind of the goal that I've set here. You will be spawning at the kid case, which is going to be on the left side of the map. The main objectives in order to get to the tower over there are going to be to find the 4 keys that were added in this new game mode. So there's 4 different colored keys that you can use to basically lock doors. So what I have is I have scattered around the map at various POIs. There's going to be doors that are locked that you're going to need specific keys to get into them in order to progress. And just to start off by giving you a tip on where to go to start off, so you're not just playing this blindly. As you spawn in, you're going to notice there is an arrow here that is pointing to the right. So what you want to do when you're starting off is basically just go down here to this, just go down this way on the map, and you should be able to find the first key somewhere down there. After that, it's going to be up to you to find out where the other keys are. What'll end up happening is you'll get to a location, and if you don't have the right color key, you won't be able to get into it. What I've tried to do also is provide guidance for it. So when you find the first key, there's going to be an item with it. That item will give you an idea of where you need to go to get to the second key, and so on and so forth, so that you'll be able to progress through it. And I think I've done it logically enough that you should be able to get through it without having like quests and stuff in the game or map markers. So beyond that, there's going to be some basic rules for this game mode. First and foremost is going to be there's no building and crafting. The reason I disabled building and crafting, building specifically, was because the objective is to reach the tower that's in the top corner up here. And I'm going to fly over it pretty high so you can't see where any of the enemies are spawning or anything else beyond like these major things like the paint bucket here. The reason I did the no building was if based on how I was designing this, and it wasn't just the final objective, there were some other objectives. If I would allow building, you would have been able to cheese a lot of stuff. So I ended up disabling it. I ultimately also disabled crafting as well, because it was just easier for me to make this in such a short amount of time. And with it being my first crack at it, I just kind of wanted to get the understanding of how the game mode works and how things flow through it. In the future, if there's good reception for this map and people want to see me make other ones, I will definitely include building and crafting in the future. But because of that, what I did was I also turned off durability. So you're not going to be able to craft anything, and since you can't repair anything, I've turned off durability. There is normal hunger and thirst drain, so no worries about things draining faster or slower. The time of day progresses at the normal rate. Stamina is turned on just to make it reasonable here. It's not like you're not gonna, I don't want you to be able to just spam attacks and never get tired from running like that. Even though I don't like stamina in games that much, I did ultimately ended up leaving it on because I thought it made for a better experience. What you're gonna be doing is, because you can't craft anything, you're gonna be finding loot. So right off the bat, when you spawn in, you're gonna see that there was a field station in front of you. The field station in front of you is gonna have loot to start off with. So there's gonna be some armor in there, some weapons, some food and stuff like that, and some healing items. As you progress through, when you find new items, you will also be able to find, along with when you're finding the keys, you'll find some weapons. You'll also find food and healing items that are going to be scattered around the map as well. The main points of interest where I have placed the keys or items that'll help you get the keys are going to generally have different loot inside of them to help you progress. And like I said, when you find that first key, there's going to be an item right next to it that should give you an idea of where you need to go. So what I did was I basically placed it would either be something like, it was the type of item. So let's just say as an example, and this is not going to be it. Let's say it was I wanted to put like let's say the key was going to be where there's ticks located. So it'll put the tick Makuhito in there or something like that. That's not what's going to be in there, because as I'll talk about in a minute, I did kind of cap what enemies are in the game to just keep it reasonable and within the limitations that I was going up against here. But the loot you'll find will be able to, it'll help you, it'll guide you where you need to go, so you kind of get an idea where you need to go. Also, outside of the main points of interest, when I say points of interest, there's lots of different anthills or tunnels around the map. Those are the main points of interest where you can kind of put stuff. So those are points of interest. There's also other points of interest around the map. And when I say points of interest, like this giant paint can is not a point of interest. You'll know if you've seen a point. You'll know when you come across a point of interest. So basically inside of those, you're going to be finding different loot, but also I have scattered some loot outside of those areas that will help you in progressing through. You don't need to get that stuff. It'll just make it easier for you. Generally, where I place that loot, you will find enemies and they will kind of be scaled to the reward you're going to get. So I kind of wanted to make it rewarding where you would be, if from overcoming the challenges of fighting those enemies, you will get rewarded properly for the loot, that you'll get the proper loot for doing it. And in addition to that, all enemies are capped at tier 2. So you're only going to run into basically the basic enemies up to tier 2 enemies. Also, all the loot except for one item is also capped at tier 2. So all the gear you're going to find, all the armor, all the weapons and stuff like that is capped at tier 2, except there is one tier 3 piece of gear that is available that you'll find at some point, or you might not find it. I did hide it. I hid it. You might not find it, honestly. But if you do find it, it'll definitely make finishing the game mode here much easier. So those are the main objectives, the rules and stuff like that. And like I said, this was a little bit challenging to make because obviously this is the first time I'm doing it. So I just wanted to share with you, if you're interested, the challenges of making it. So if you decide to try this game mode out, and I'll probably do some tutorial videos on like how to do some of the, basically the new features they put in, like how buttons work and how you can make things work together and stuff like that. And if you're only interested in playing the game, the download code's at the bottom. You may have already seen it. So the download code's on the bottom of the screen, T7P Q6N TRL. You can just download that code and it'll let you play this map. It'll also be in the description down below. So if that's all you're interested in, thanks for watching. But if you're interested in learning or at least listening to the challenges that I experienced, so that maybe it'll help you either play through this, or also if you're making your own maps to help you make better maps. And also, I will say this, even if you don't decide to make your own, if you do give mine a try, leave down in the comments your experience with it. Let me know if it was balanced, unbalanced, what you liked, what you didn't like. You can also share that with me in my Discord or during my live streams. If you get stuck, I will be streaming on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time on both YouTube and Twitch. So if you get stuck on something and you want a tip on how to progress through it, just stop by there and during the stream and ask me, and I'll give some clues. I don't want to spoil it if I don't have to, but if you get really stuck on something, or maybe a lot of people are getting stuck on the same thing, I'm certainly willing to share how to get through it. And maybe at some point in the future, I'll play through it myself just so everybody can see basically how it's supposed to be solved. But the main challenges that I experienced were spawning enemies in at the points of interest. So as an example, when you play the regular game, you'll notice that there's lots of anthills and stuff like that. There's also the larva tunnel and things. And when the developers place stuff in there, I guess they can code it so that they don't just all wander out. What I noticed was when I made like some of the points of interest, as soon as I started the game mode up, all the enemies would literally just try to get out of the point of interest. So in some of them, like the ones where they're like the anthills and stuff like that, the larval tunnels, I did basically just leave the enemies in there. I have set up some situations where the enemies will spawn using some of the new gizmos that have been added. But in other points of interest, what I had to do was take advantage of some of the new, like the new gizmos. So one of them is going to be you can put down like a square, basically a box or a circle that when a player passes through it, you can have it spawn enemies in. So I took advantage of that just to make sure that the enemies don't all end up piling at the front of the door. So as like one of the examples I had was I had ants in one of the hills and I had them all just sitting there, and I had doors sectioning off the different sections because I wanted the ants to stay in certain sections. And when I basically went in to test it out, I ended up walking into one of the anthills and there was like 40 ants sitting at the front of it and I couldn't even open the door. So I basically had to just get rid of the doors and let them just wander out. But in the other points of interest, I took advantage of some of the gizmos so that they spawn in properly and they hopefully won't overwhelm you guys, and it'll feel like it actually makes sense. Additionally, the other challenges are going to be providing the appropriate gear as well as providing enough food and healing items. I mean, I have over 1,000 hours in the game, so I kind of understand what gear will be necessary to get through each of the areas, and I did test it out using the different gear. Ultimately, I ended up upgrading most of it, at least to like level 1. The early gear, you're going to get to be level 1. There's going to be gear later on it's level 3 or 4 that'll help you get through it, and I feel like I provided different options. There's also going to be, like I said, I scattered some stuff around the map that if you find it, it'll definitely make finishing the game mode much easier, but if you don't find it, you should still be able to beat it. So also with the healing items, I didn't have trouble but because I know the enemies that I'm going up against, I know what I'm walking into, it was easier for me. But like I said, I'm gonna need the feedback to let me know if I balanced it properly. Also, it's gonna be varying the points of interest so they aren't all the same. So like I said, there's a lot of tunnels in this game. I used a lot of the tunnels in the game to populate them with different items and stuff like that. But I didn't want them all to be like, oh, you just go to the end of a tunnel and win it and find the items you need or something like that. So what I ended up doing was I put some different variations in there, how the enemies spawn, or maybe some I don't want to say like puzzle type things where you basically had to figure out how to get through them. And so it's not exactly the same. I don't want to spoil any of it, so you'll experience that for yourself. Also, it's going to be blocking off the tunnels and labs that aren't being used. I think I blocked all of them off. I hope I blocked all of them off. I went around the map a couple times. Even the last time I did a pass through of it, I still found another tunnel that I had not seen. As you can see here, as I'm coming up here, there's a tunnel there. There are tunnels all over this map, and most of them will have more than one exit. So being able to find all of them, as well as the labs and stuff like this lab here, is massive. It has like multiple exits to the outside that I had to find. But there's lots of tunnels, so hopefully you'll notice like this one's blocked off with a rock. I believe I blocked off most of them. If I ended up blocking off one, if you go into a tunnel, if you go into a tunnel and you find that there's literally nothing in there, let me know so I can end up blocking it off and fixing it, because you can update the maps and reshare them. And then last but not least is going to be the general balancing. So I had to consider that you're not going to be getting any milk molar upgrades. You're not going to be able to get gear upgrades, and most mutations will not be able to be unlocked. So that's why I limited which enemies are in the game mode, as well as basically upgrading gear. Like myself, I basically placed gear that's already upgraded so that you're not just using level 1 everything for all the enemies you're going to be facing. So those were generally the challenges of the game mode. I did have a lot of fun making it. Like I said in one of my previous videos, I don't know how popular this game mode is going to be. Me playing through it and making my own game mode, if other people can make game modes that are high quality, I would definitely think this could be popular. My biggest concern is how many people are going to be interested in this, because maybe it's just my community. Most of the people that I've asked have said they were just more interested in playing survival. That's why I tried to create a survival mode in this game mode, so hopefully you guys will enjoy it. Anyway, like I said, the code is at the bottom of the screen right now to be in the description down below. It is T7P Q6N Download it today when the update drops, and you will be able to try it out. Let me know what you think about it in the comments down below, or in my Discord, or during my live streams. Anyway, let me know if you're going to be trying out the new playground mode. Let me know if you're going to be trying out my new map. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next video.